Carapace, hoping for a misclick. Ooh, big burst.
Big kill. Yeah, Stinger goes down, and Jim Park taking quite a beating as well. Gonna be able to make it back, as actually Schofield makes his own rotation. The Shard doesn't get a complete block. So Ace will still walk this off. And I feel like maybe Jim still has to be careful. He's very low. Schofield's also not exactly the tankiest person at this point. Gotta be careful.
Jim Park playing with fire there, but he still has 2 of the Lotuses. He has some sticks as well and a raindrop, so he's totally fine.
Okay. Now the 6 minute, I didn't actually remember to see who got the 6 minute rune there. But I'm sure maybe we might see on the bottom in a minute. It looked like as well Schofield was thinking about trying to go for the 7-minute wisdom that was spawning, but maybe he thought it was a bit too early, does decide against it. As we see him on the left side of the map, he is now starting to move over. But at the same time, Solari's probably going to get there. And Tofu trying to do a steal of his own by the looks. Let's see who gets him.
He's definitely in trouble here.
Yes, Solari said he wasn't going to die this game. And there is going to be his first death. Ace trying to get the Wisdom Rune, not going to be able to get that one. On the other side, Tofu does manage to get one of his own, but even Dark Margo is getting involved right now. Can they actually get the connection to Ace? He's getting very, very close to that little safety gate. And he will make himself away. So ends up being the 1 kill onto the Grim. Probably not the highest priority rotation that Dark Mode would have wanted, but you know, he's applying pressure at least.
Yeah, and Ace already unkillable even before the level 6.
Yeah. Oh, talk about killable. Tofu does go down. 4 people on top of his face for just the poor old position 5 nicks. He was not expecting that. Jim Park also using God's Strength, but not really any sort of follow-up aggression. Meanwhile, down bot lane, looks like Sacred will just get ran down. Driacho managing to get the solo kill. Schofield also dying up top. We're starting to see these kills coming quick and fast now. Just happening absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, nice presence of mind from Driacho. He had no mana, no HP, but recognized that all the TPs were on cooldown on Beastcoast, so no one could help the poor Snap.
Yeah. The Tier 1 tower's got already in the mid as well. Quinn's already been able to pick that one up, so Dark Margo can't even safely find any sort of farm in this mid lane right now. Has to wait for the creeps to come to him by the Tier 2, it feels. So this is going to be already a fantastic game for Quinn to see if he can start piling on after that, as Solari, a very short duration ink spell there, as he will still die. Another free kill for Jim.
I was a bit surprised by how well Pungo was doing in terms of CS and XP, because he isn't that far behind, but losing the tower does really hurt.
It does, yeah. I mean, does he have to just like carry on trying to find what farm he can now, or now that he's lost his tier 1, is that potentially a cue to just look to gank side lanes more often?
I think he's probably gonna stick around mid a little bit, because losing your tower actually makes it a bit harder to rotate, because the lane tends to be a bit further pushed in, and that makes it harder to rotate. Of course, he can still just TP to a lane or an outpost and be fine, but it's gonna be a bit more difficult now.
Yeah, just has to sort of get wherever the hell he can, as Quinn just continues to get some stacks on the go for himself in the triangle, finding farm for free. Well, it is still Jim Park at the top of net worth though, nearly hitting that 5k mark, so he's doing quite nicely. Just the other 2 cores who are lagging behind a bit, especially Sacred, who did actually struggle a bit in the lane. Wasn't tons of pressure that was applied to him, but as soon as Schofield moved off, he didn't really have much space to find whatever farm he could. So maybe they're trying to find a gank here in the mid, but Solari not going to get caught. It's too close to the tier 2.
Yeah, Celery is fine. He also doesn't have a point in his silence yet, which I think is curious. Ooh, Schofield. Yeah, he's very dead.
Yeah, as a freebie for sure. Too much damage coming through. Now this is level 6 as well for both of the supports of Gaiming Gladiators picked up at the 10-minute mark, so they are very happy about that. See if they can start making some more moves, considering how they have this bonus. Dark Margo, they're doing a lot of damage to Tofu, but not really threatened.
Ooh, a split coming out. Jim Park used his ulti though, tries to fight. Not sure if this is a fight he wants to take though.
And the dive coming in from Stinger is going to try to stand his ground. Maybe it is, because Ace is the one that nearly falls right now. The final right click with Stinger, and he actually get the kill. definitely underestimating the amount of damage that the Sven's able to pop out. There is going to be the stun. Egg as well doing a bit of burst damage. And one final right click, they get the second kill. Might even be able to take down this tier 1 tower because they have a catapult.
And that was some great presence of mind from Jim Park there. Just recognizing, hey, I have my ulti, I have my Mask of Madness, let's just bloody go.
Yeah, definitely caught Ace off by surprise there. Quinn also coming on up to this top, but not really able to find any kills or anything like that, just making sure the tier 1 doesn't fall this early on. And he will fall back. Dacha as well. Looks like Schofield is just spending a majority of his time trying to find this gyro and just making sure he doesn't get as free farm as possible. Really on his case.
It's quite hard these days though to invade someone's jungle, because there is just so much jungle to invade.
Yeah, it feels like you spend half your game just wandering around trying to find somebody. Yeah, it's found him multiple times. The Stretchio is actually a fair amount behind this Sven. Just carries on finding free farm here for Jim Park. Meanwhile, in the mid, trying to apply a bit of pressure to Dark Margo. The silence comes through, but he's already able to get himself out. So no one's going to suffer there. I don't think we've seen a Vendetta gank attempt yet from Tofu. I'm sure we're going to see one soon.
I feel like they probably want to kill the Pungo, but they actually don't have that much lockdown themselves. They just have the Impale and then the Gloomstroke, and that's kind of it for now. And because the spells are all quite low level, I'm not sure if they have the damage to actually kill Dark Mago.
Yeah, he's a very elusive boy. Hard to just stick on top of him.
Ooh, and Diracho, he actually did put points into the Rocket Barrage, so no stats for him just yet.
Okay. Maybe they're just looking to try and burst down some people as soon as possible. But I mean, it definitely feels like Gaiming Gladiators are not the ones that are trying to look for any action by any means. They're just, I don't think they've even left their half of the map yet. But I mean, as you were mentioning earlier, it's these 3 pretty greedy cores who want to try and find every bit of farm they can. So it's difficult trying to divvy that up amongst themselves. As actually we do have this 3-man smoke here. Quinn involved, see who they do find. They're heading up towards the top part of the map, where it's just the Phoenix really. Everyone else is going to be able to avoid this.
Stinger, he's actually going for an Orchid on this Phoenix. Not sure who he's specifically trying to counter here. Maybe the Brewmaster?
I guess. I think they spot Tofu, never mind. Tofu spots them instead, and Schofield immediately deleted that. Dark Margo thinking about doing the Rolling Thunder, but literally no follow-up. Can't do anything at all. So still only 1k gold lead at this point towards Beastcoast right now. As I mentioned, just feels like Farming Simulator. There's been a few kills here and there, but it is mainly just avoiding so much action on either side. But meanwhile, actually, Quinn, no, he's going to be okay. Just blink daggers away, he's fine.
I'm not super surprised that Beastcoast is leading by a little bit right now, because Sven is the kind of hero that can flash farm really early in the game, while both the TA and the Gyrocopter need just a few items before having that ability. Like especially Gyro, he needs a Crystallis and he needs an Aghanim's. That's when he starts farming. Before that, he farms kind of slowly.
It looks like he was about 3,000 gold away from having his Ags completed. Meanwhile, Ace is being quite aggressive onto Schofield underneath this tier 1, but I guess he feels safe considering how he has his ultimate up. Not going to be pressured at all. I think as well, Quinn was only about 800 gold away from having his Desolator completed, so maybe that might be the cue for Gaiming Gladiators to look for some kills, or do you think maybe he has to wait for the Dragon Lance as well?
I think once they have the Deso, they can try to do something. But I think it's surprising altogether that he went for Blink first instead of the Deso, because he's just been farming.
Just playing a game against creeps more than anything else. Who needs to hit heroes, man? That's not the objective of the game. Yeah, well, looks like a very interesting direction there for the Phoenix, moving into the left jungle sides. Just blocking up camps, trying to delay this farm onto those greedy cores of Gaiming Gladiators as much as possible here, as Ace does able to take down that top tier 1.
He's actually going for a Midas now, so he got himself the Spirit Vessel, and now he wants to really scale into the late game, recognizing that this game is probably not gonna end in the next 10 minutes, so he has some time and he has some space.
Yeah, going for the Radiance as well after that. Very greedy item, but he should be able to get it online at a decent time. In which case, it would just make these team fights later on that much easier for Gaiming Gladiators.
Yeah, and in games like this, you can really tell that he used to be a carry player.
Yeah, just playing that greed more than anything else. There are some pos 3s, you know, heroes like, players like Zai, they're always that much more sacrificial style, you know, they don't like to, but they do die a fair amount, and that always seems to lead to victory, but Ace, definitely sort of more of that pseudo carry sort of play style in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is facilitated by the Ratio just being so solid. Like, he doesn't need an entire team to play around him. He can play pretty much every single kind of carry there is.
Yes, Judge has been caught out right now. Rolling Thunder, everything else trying to control him up. He's still pretty damn tanky though in Schofield. Maybe just put himself in the way of danger, and he is actually going to be the one to die. Everyone else just retreated. As they have found Tofu though. The Mormos kisses, even a point-blank swashbuckle, they do get that kill. So after all that, it's just a straight support thing. They actually maybe more. Quinn! What is he doing here? This could be an absolutely massive kill, and Jim Park getting that double for him. What the hell was Quinn doing here?
I don't know, just Quinn things, I suppose. It looked quite good for Gaiming Gladiators at the start, surviving with the Ratio, and then they only just traded support for support, but then I looked at the minimap and Quinn was just going ham in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, trying to steal farm away, but all he ends up doing is actually just giving away free farm towards the side of Beastcoast, who are now at a 3k gold advantage. See if they can actually hold on to that lead, or whether if Gaiming Gladiators might be able to put a dent into it. I feel like, how soon is it until Gaiming feel like they can try and go for like the first Roche and get that Aegis into the hands of Quinn?
Oh, I think it's not gonna be for another 10 or so minutes unless they sneak it. Because Beastcoast is approaching a big power spike. They're gonna have BKB on their Sven, they have Guardian Greaves finished on their Snapfire, of course they have the Diffusal on Pango. They pretty much have everything they need to fight. Even the Halberd on Pango, they're really going for this specific timing. Because they know that Gaiming Gladiators, none of them are gonna have BKBs.
Yeah. It looks like they can try and get this kill into Sacred. Sven there, but the Impale doesn't actually connect that cookie just in time. And immediately, we see the 3 members of GG have to actually run away. Oh no, right, Schofield's actually found them. Very aggressive snowball forwards right now, but he might just get in dying for this one. With the Sunray coming through, it actually does keep Schofield alive. Cookie forwards connects on towards Tofu with the swashbuckler. They get the kill. Now Jim Park also getting involved. Focus on towards Ace. He doesn't have his ultimate, so he might get ran down here. He's still super speedy. Does not get connected on from the scatter, so he's going to be okay. So after all of that, it's just the Nyx who actually ends up dying. Tons committed though from both sides.
Yeah, Ace, even without his ulti, he just survived like 5 seconds of Sven just wailing at him.
I think you got like multiple misses in a row. Oof.
Okay.
Kill onto Drachia though. That's massive. Alright, now this feels like Beastcoast starting to get a lot of momentum onto their side now. This is looking scary for Gaiming.
Just on the tail end of that gold strength, finding a gyro. Credit to the boarding, I guess, seeing the gyro behind enemy lines there. GG just desperately trying to find farms in uncommon spots, but Beastcoast has really nice vision.
Yeah, just able to pick them up every single time they put themselves in those awkward spots. I mean, it's like you were mentioning earlier, they all need farm, but it's trying to find that. As Stinger does get jumped on, does get the dive away, sorry up to the high ground, but Ace is also here. Can they get the catch? They will. TP not going to complete. I mean, now that they got this hero advantage, they're right outside the Roche pit. Is this the time for them to try and get that Aegis?
I don't think so. Respawn timer is still quite short. And there's still a tier 1 up. They don't take it that fast. It's just too risky right now. I feel like they need to make some kind of play happen on the other side of the map and then use a twin gate or something. It's just going straight up. I don't think it's gonna work. Because you risk getting into a fight with Beastcoast, who are at their strongest right now.
Yeah. They definitely are. I mean, there was that Death Slayer finally completed there for Quinn. And, I mean, they are still all gathered up around here. Are they going to go for it? I guess they're trying to weigh up the options, whether it is worth it, as you're mentioning. Maybe it could be a risky play. But we do see 4 members of Beastcoast smoked up in the mid, trying to hunt for this kill onto Dacha, who is at the top lane. But he's actually TPing to the tier 2. They see that, and they immediately head towards it. Yeah, straight away Jim Parker's there. Morm's Kiss on top. The Gyro, not a hope in hell's chance of surviving that one. He will go. Tier 2 gonna drop as well. But maybe this is the opportunity for Gaiming just to sneak this Roshan for free. It's costly though.
Yeah. What is an Aegis gonna do if on your second life you don't have a BKB? You're just gonna die twice.
Yeah. He does have one queued, but he's a long, long way away from completing it. I mean, he's not even started on his Dragon Lance yet. Looks like maybe Quinn not quite as far ahead as he would normally like. I mean, it's not like he's miles behind the other cores. Everyone else, apart from Jim Park, is pretty damn similar. Only like 1,000 gold separating all of them. But it is just this Sven, man. 16,000 net worth. An absolute demon so far in this game. As maybe just going to get a free kill onto Tofu. Just walk straight up into unknown grounds and just feeds away a kill.
I don't even think that Jim Park is that farmed. Because it's 23 minutes, 16k is not that outrageous. It's just that all of the GG cores are quite underfarmed for this stage of the game. Of course, I did mention that they need some items to get started, but still. Like the Ratio being at sub 10k net worth at 23 minutes is a bad sign.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I feel like if this game goes on for like an extra, like, 30 minutes, then these 3 cores in Gaiming will definitely be farmed, and then it's going to be a very difficult game for Beastcoast. So, whilst they have this strong advantage, they're probably going to look to just run at Gaiming as much as possible as soon as they have, like, God Strength and everything else online with the Mortimer's Kisses. And they can be the ones to obviously look for kills. I mean, are they even that afraid of this Aegis in the hands of Quinn, or can they just still try and take fights?
Oh, they don't care at all. The Ratio, oh no. Oh no.
Walk straight into the waiting arms here of Jim Park. Basically
no
gets the
BKB
solo.
needed even.
He just waited perfectly. That final right click wasn't enough to kill him. They do get the grab onto Sacred elsewhere, but a solo kill onto your carry is really painful.
Yeah, this is what I get for calling Ratio solid. He just died 3 times solo on some random place on the map.
Oh man, you cursed him. You cursed him. Now, still, it is Gaiming. Even though they're behind in terms of net worth, they're the ones that are actually moving as a 4-man squad on the enemy side of the map, trying to look for some plays. Obviously, with this Aegis, they feel comfortable to do so. Stinger, he's got a Tofu right on top of him. Despite Carapace will get the connection. He's already able to jump off to the side, but Quinn gets the quick delete onto the Stinger. And just the Tusk going to be able to walk himself away.
It very much feels like Gaiming Gladiators are still feeling quite comfortable right now. Because they know that even though Ratio isn't having a good time, they do have the Midas and the Radiance on the Brewmaster, and they're confident in their late game.
Yeah, but they found a quick drag here onto Dark Margot. Silence will end. He's able to get the Rolling Thunder off. He's going to be okay. We can actually see quite a few other members of Beastcoast coming on, and they want to try and take this fight, and Quinn quickly outnumbered. So many people on top of his face. He will eventually die. As Ace now also here with the Brew Split. Also get the 2 link there with the Soul Biome, but it actually ends super quickly. And now Ace is the one who has to run away. And so much damage from Jim Park, man. Tears into pieces as well. So that's Aegis gone, plus a kill into the offlaner. Just bit by bit, Beastcoast are just tearing everything away from Gaiming Gladiators.
Gaiming, they're not done yet.
Gonna be able to get this kill on towards Dark Margot. Silence will secure it, plus the grab onto Stinger. Alright, they bounce back, they get 2 kills. That's not bad.
It's sloppy from Beastcoast, not recognizing that without the BKBs and the ultis, GG can still make something work. Just losing their mid and their Phoenix. It's not the best, but I guess Sven is still farming. If this happens a few more times though, I could see this game maybe turning around a little bit. Because the lead is only 7k, which at 26 minutes really isn't the end of the world. And almost the entire lead is concentrated onto this Sven. And he just needs 2 more items and then he's 6-slotted. So all the gold on him isn't really gonna matter that much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if Gaiming Gladiators are able to get the initiation onto him and completely remove him from the equation, then would feel like there's nothing else that Beastcoast could really do. They just have to run away at that point. This Gym Park, like you mentioned, is just all the power behind them at this stage in the game. And maybe their idea is just to try and wait for the second Roshan, but it's still a long, long way away from spawning.
Park almost has his, I think he was building a Bloodthorn. And then he just has his blink and his treads to either upgrade or replace.
Yeah, he is very scary. I don't see either team that focused on trying to run a bully anymore. Like, Gaiming Gladiators definitely need to try and get their next few items online, but it depends if they're going to be able to have the opportunity to find spaces. Beastcoast going to be able to run at them right now. Schofield, oh, he actually blinks left instead of down. Doesn't find Drache, but actually the rest of Beastcoast do. Drop the egg right on top of right now, but Drache stands his ground, focusing on towards the egg. Will they scramble it? They do. They take that out of the equation, but Drache is still going to die from this. Warmer's Kisses plus the egg are going to secure Soleri as well. So once again, this carry Gyro has been killed. I feel like, what's that, the 4th or 5th time this game? He's just been really bullied.
And it's so weird that they decided to fight that. I was like, okay, this is a decent position. They have vision there. They have their BKB on the gyro, but none of GG was actually close. It was just the Grimstroke and the gyrocopter.
I mean, no one else even bothered to start using their TPs at all. They were just on this right side of the map, finding what farm they can, and they were like, alright, we're just going to use our carry gyro as bait, so maybe we can get our next item.
They're all literally just farming. Are they this confident in being able to stop Beastcoast from going high ground? That's the only thing I can think of. Because they're giving up so many kills just to farm.
Yeah, it is a bit worrisome. You never know, like, Gaiming Gladiators have been showing how successful they are throughout this entire year, so maybe they have a strong read on how this game's actually going to go, but Beastcoast at the moment, the ones in the driver's seat, it all comes down to how much pressure they can actually apply to GG and close out this game before it gets too late, because as we mentioned before, there's 3 cores that are going to be very, very troublesome later on. So maybe they're just going to wait for this next Roche, potentially up in a minute, but not guaranteed.
What is Gym Park even building? He has so many random items. He has a Mage Slayer. It looked like he was going for a Bloodthorn, and he has the recipe. Ah, I guess his courier died. That's it.
Right.
So he has the Bloodthorn and almost the Satanic, but it just is in his courier.
That'd be a nice power spike. Come into the next fight with two new items rather than just one.
Yeah,
well,
so his effective net worth is only like 18k right now. That is definitely a big difference.
It really is. Maybe it's the opportunity for Gaiming to try and take a fight, but I feel like they're probably feeling a bit nervous now in this game. Like, they have been hemorrhaging kill after kill, especially onto these high priority targets. I mean, if it was like Soleri and Tofu, who were the ones who were dying all the time, they probably wouldn't care, but considering how it is this gyro, it is definitely setting back the game a fair margin. I mean, the gyro is still trying to find farm. He's not a million miles behind everybody else. It is just Gym Park who is the real beast. But second Roshan, still a minute and a half away. Relatively long, but it is going to be on that Radiant side. And both teams realize it could be spawning any second.
And Gyro, he has a DD. Sven doesn't have his items just yet, they're flying in. He should be able to get them before the fight starts.
Yeah, coming out, the scan does also connect. So Gaiming realised there's some people in the area. Tofu charging forwards, does get the spot on towards Sacred. If they can immediately make this into a 5 versus 4, it's going to be great. Cookie is going to be there, as well as the Soap will keep him alive for as long as possible. Eventually he will die, so will Schofield. 2 for nothing. Gaiming Gladiators off to a fantastic start right now. Dark Margo having to just run away, but his role in Boulder will end, and so will his life. Quick smack to the face. There's only 2 people left for Beastcoast, so they just weren't getting involved whatsoever, having to run away. So that will be Aegis plus Cheese going into the hands of Gaiming, and they've nearly just completely negated this net worth lead.
Yeah, they're gonna be ahead now, actually, after they take the Roche. That was just a perfect fight for them. Getting the jump onto the Snapfire, then Tusk going for a save and pretty much getting both of them killed. Phoenix Egg not working. And now Jim Park has to be careful. He only has 1 BKB. He's gonna use it.
Just goes to TP. More than tanky enough to avoid that. Obviously the Warcry bonus armor does keep him nice and safe. Yeah, second Roche now respawning, but literally everybody's on the complete opposite side of the map right now.
So were these Duracho deaths actually just creating space? Is it working right now, Blue?
I guess. Like, they've nearly brought it back to a bang-on even game. Doesn't even matter if the gyro keeps dying, it feels. Their game work done. Maybe some more work. So once again trying to find Jim Park, instead they might have to sell for Schofield, but that's still a speedy Tusk man, absolutely just charging away. Dark Mardo with the roll and Boulder. Not going to actually connect onto anybody. They're just a complete dodge. Or is it? Oh yeah, Dracho, okay. They don't want to go onto him. Alright. No one dropping yet again.
No BKB now on the Sven. No roll. This Roche is gonna be mega free.
Yeah, you can see on the map as well, Beastcoast. Even if they know that Roshan's up right now, clearly not interested in contesting it, considering how they are really far away right now. I mean, maybe they're going to start heading over. They are grouped up in the mids. Yeah, they know. All right, they're coming over. But this is going to be a very quick Roche. The amount of minus armor that's stacked up here onto GG, it just drops so damn quickly. You're already down to half. Yeah, it's going to be too little too late for Beastcoast. Everybody will get spotted from the trap. And immediately follow up from the stun from Tofu. The Mail Strike actually misses. Maybe that's going to be enough to keep him alive. Opportunity right now for them to turn this around. Stinger does get stunned, but he's still able to pop the egg. But just look how quickly it dies. Can't get anything done. The first life of the gyro has already been used though. Multiple buybacks as well from Beastcoast. They want to try and take this fight if possible. Maybe the turner right now is Dark Market there with the Rolling Thunder. Instead, it's Stinger who gets caught, and again, man, these right clicks from Quinn are just too damn powerful. Maybe they can actually get the grab on towards the TA right now. Tons of stuns, but they can so slow. They can't actually get on top of this target. Schofield's going to get a die back. They do get the trade onto Tofu, but Quinn will eventually pull him from Jim Park, but he's all alone. Can he actually keep himself going? The answer is no, as that is, I think, 7 deaths in total for Beastcoast. Oof, even Dark Margo nearly going down. Alright, that was pretty bad. Pretty bad for Beastcoast.
I feel like Beastcoast, they've kind of missed their timing now, and we can really start to see the cracks forming. As I said before, Sven only has a single BKB, and when it ends, he's just getting controlled so easily. He's barely even a footnote in these fights once his BKB ends.
Yeah, I think I heard him activate Satanic, but he missed like 3 times in a row and got 0 heals out from it, and didn't just cost him his death at the end. So I feel like maybe we're going to be seeing him getting a MKB next. Might actually have a chance to heal up in those sort of situations in the future.
Yeah, he went for the Bloodthorn, but it's not really working out so far. I like the idea because Gaiming Gladiators does have a lot of mixed damage, but it's been costing him. Honestly though, I'm not sure if MKB would have won that fight for him. Because at this stage it's just really hard to play as Sven, because you need to kill 3 heroes before your BKB ends. And that's a tall order.
Yeah. feels like they actually need these team fights to go perfectly right now, but I don't think I've seen an egg pop this whole game. I think every single time it's been used, it has actually been killed. So it's just been very difficult for Stinger to do anything. Meanwhile, they're trying to make a jump over this bit, but the snowball save is going to be there, but it is actually going to drag them out of position into the waiting arms of 4 members of GG. Schofield immediately dead. Can Stinger get himself, or Sacred, sorry, get away? Right click's coming through. He's pretty speedy. He's going to be able to dodge it for now. Jim Park used his God Strength off to the side, but can't actually connect onto anybody. Now we'll jump on towards the Bruise. But even still, they will disperse and survive. Now focus on towards Drachos. The BKB Gyro has to just run himself away. Quinn in deep, managing to get the finishing touch on towards Stinger. But he is separated from the rest of his team. In comes Ace to try and lend a helping hand, forcing Jim Park to actually focus onto him instead. And they're just kiting and stunning him up. The Sven can't hit anybody. He will die. Down for 100 seconds. Gonna get the +1 onto Dark Margot as well. And Beastcoast, they survive for a long time, but eventually they just crumble to pieces and they don't get a single kill.
Yeah, it's just so rough. You saw both the Gyro and the Sven popping their BKBs, and the Ratio was like, ah, okay, I'll just run away now, because I don't really mind not having a BKB, but you can't do anything without it. And Ace, he gets another.
Oh, find Sacred farming up this bottom wave. Alright, so there really was no survivors then from that last fight. Everyone does die. Either going to potentially lose this full set of barracks in the mid, a full minute about the Sven. There's just no way they can hold on. I mean, they're going to go for a second set of barracks for sure. Do you think maybe they could also go for a thirds?
I think they could. I don't think they will. Because why would they? They have all the time. They can wait for another Roche. They know they're gonna skill better, so they can just take this second set and then just chill. I mean, they could even finish. They have 30 seconds, but why would they take any kind of risk right now?
Yeah, they're definitely back in control of this game, and well, it looks like they are going to risk it in the tier 4s. Ace left alone to take that tier 2 at the top. But Dracho and Quinn are like, dude, come on, come end the game with us. Stop hitting buildings.
Yeah, they could have gone for it, but they didn't know if this Sven had a buyback.
Yeah, maybe they think he still does have one. He was just holding on to it for as long as possible. If they do find another kill on towards Jim Park, that is just going to be game over for sure. As they've not even fallen back, just lurking outside of the Dire base right now, seeing if anyone steps out of position. Patience is key.
Ooh, Dark Mago is being hunted here by Tofu.
Yeah, let's get the roll up into the Rolling Thunder. Does have a TP available as well, so he should be safe. Okay, he's gone. Dracho and Soleri.
Wrong base, guys.
Yeah, they're just chilling. They're just waiting. The Beastcoast are actually like miles away. Oh, they do get the spot on towards Dark Margot, but no actual lockdown for it. He just jumps away. Wait, he's hit. Okay, so it's back to him tier 4s. They're saying, alright, Beastcoast, come back to your base, or you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
Ancient
why not?
already
no
exposed.
Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, a big portion of the control of Beastcoast is gone. MKB was just cleaned up from the Sven, buying out, so not gonna have a buyback this one. Already found the kill on towards the Tusk, and look how quickly this Ancient is dying, man. Just chipping away, the Cyclone holding Jim Park back. He finally drops down, but it doesn't even matter as the throne dies. And that is the end of game number 1.
I don't want to say it was a clinical performance by GG, because it really wasn't. But I think this really shows their strength.
hit out the Sven, wait for his BKB to be over, and then that's it. He just falls to pieces. You can see he's just stuck between 4 people. The stuns come through, the silences, and he can't do a single thing.
Yeah, it's rough. Sven is a very strong hero, but he still has this weakness where he just cannot 1v5, and he's so dependent on his BKB duration.
I mean, it's like I said, Sven doesn't even feel like the problem. Like, it's been very successful. I feel like he's probably got like an 80% win rate in this tournament so far, with just how dominant it has been performing. But today was not the day. We'll have a look on the team's comparison right now. As it feels like every single time we've seen a team win, like one of their cores only ever had 1 death, and they just destroyed everybody. But it was just quite a few deaths spread amongst the places for Gaiming, mainly on Dacha, of course.
I think the 2 force staves on both Celery and Tofu were also really important here. As we saw it in a few of the fights where Sven pops his BKB and then instantly the hero gets double forced. And that's already like 2 or 3 seconds from the duration just gone.
Yeah.
So
do you think maybe...
itemization too.
So do you think maybe he should have gone for like a harpoon slightly earlier then? Would that have solved that issue?
Would have solved maybe some of the issues, but then he wouldn't have had the MKB, or like there would always have been a hole in his itemization that's just unfixable, because he only has 6 slots to work with. Ideally you would have every single item and then maybe you could catch up, but nah, it was just really rough.
Oh my god! I think this might be the first time I've seen a support get an MVP. It's happened! It's finally happened, Wingblade. The cores don't get it.
Yeah, it's nice. Good job, Tofu. I mean, he was very annoying as the Nyx, just stunning the Phoenix after his dive and just getting the vision. He didn't even die that much, considering his team was behind, and his role was to scout. So that's definitely impressive.
Yeah, just a set of 5s. 5, 5, 15. Clearly those are the magic combinations of numbers. And that's how, yeah, I mean, he was just great. Like we were mentioning earlier, he did receive that buff in the C patch, and we are starting to see the Nyx come out more and more, and that's just a clear showcase of why this hero is a big problem. I mean, do you think we could see any respect bans going into game number 2 from Beastcoast?
Perhaps, but I think it's more likely that they just ban the gyro, so they don't get memed after losing to it twice.
Yeah, I mean that was confusing, the fact that it survived the opening phase and wasn't even first picked from Beastcoast. They decided to go for the Pangler instead. Maybe that's a mistake they're not going to make in the second game, which will be coming up in about 5 or 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. It's not long to wait, and we shall return for some... Kind of a rough start for them there in that game number 1, but they just pushed through all of that pain and still managed to get the win in the end. Catching Beastcoast off by surprise for sure. I mean, how did you feel after that first game, Wingblade?
Not super surprised, because I feel like this is quite often how GG wins. And they were kind of the favorites, according to us, the casters, not the vote on the bottom of the screen still. So yeah, I'm not super surprised. It was still a fun game to watch though. I, at some point, definitely felt like Beastcoast was gonna take it. They had like a 10k lead, they had all of their items, they had BKBs, while GG had nothing. But then, like you mentioned, that Roche fight happened. GG got into that groove, they did some tactical feeding, and suddenly it felt like they couldn't lose anymore. But we are into the draft for the second game already. This was so fast.
Speeded straight through. No need to hang around for script problems this time. All been sorted out. And it is actually Gaiming Gladiators who have first pick, so Beastcoast, they sort of have to ban the gyro, right? They don't want to give that away again.
Right, they have to, right? And they definitely will, right, Beastcoast? Right? Right?
I bloody well hope so. If not, as a big old blunder to start into the second game is letting that fall through 2 times in a row. I mean, they're even using reserve time right now, so they're actually considering removing somebody else.
What else is there to ban that is this important?
I have no idea.
I don't even know. It seems like Gyro is just by far the scariest hero, but maybe they have some other heroes that they can counter Gyro with that they just didn't want to pick yet in the first game, you know? It's too early in the tournament. But the second game, that's the time to bring out the big guns.
It is,
but they banned the Pango.
The Pango is gone. Alright, so that is just a pretty clear-cut Gyro first pick coming out there from Gaiming Gladiators, in which case What is Beastcoast going to pick up in response to that? I mean, it feels like in that first game, their answer was the snap in a weird way, but it didn't really work at all. So let's see what the game plan is, because obviously they can't go for the Pango this time round. They banned it themselves, so clearly already onto a different path here.
Yeah, I already don't like this. I feel like now they can pick the Snapfire and they're gonna be like, oh, we can kill the Rocket again. And then Gaiming is gonna pick Nyx again, because Nyx is like the hero that's maybe the best or the second best at just cancelling the kisses instantly. Aside from Silencer, and also being a good like duo together with the Gyro, so that already sets up a Gaiming for getting two heroes with like a really nice matchup here. So I really don't like this. Maybe they can go for something like a Drow Ranger. I feel like Drow is very good against Gyro.
Yeah. Do you think it's not too early to pick that up, or could they just go for it either way? Yeah.
So they would need to like build a draft around it then, but then if Gaiming just bans it, then they're in trouble again. So it's just such an awkward situation. Just ban the strongest hero. You have 4 bans. 4!
I mean, they even banned the IO, which has really been ignored a vast majority of the time in other games, but yeah, they let it slip through, and once again they go back on into this Snapfire. Is this like guaranteed to be Sacred's hero already, or do you think there's a chance they might decide to like play it on Dark Margot or Schofield instead?
I guess they could still flex it. Like we mentioned, they have a few players that can play him or her, but yeah, it's likely that they just put it against the Gyro again, because it's that important in lane. Because last game, the Gyro actually got a solo kill on the Snapfire and got pretty much a free lane in that bot lane. And the Snapfire is considered a good hero against Gyro. So if they pick something else, it could go even worse.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they might try and go for like the same combo, like back onto the Tusk? I don't think we saw it a single time in game number 1 where they actually tried to go for the tag team, like little shredder and burst people down. Just weren't really interested, I guess, at playing that aggressive. Or maybe it was just Tofu's Nyx Assassin, which was the major problem there. Who knows? But they do decide to remove the Venge, so the hero who was banned last time that wasn't this one is the Treant Protector. So which side would you more likely, want to see that hero on?
I think probably Beastcoast, because I feel like for Gaiming, Nyx is just better. And they fulfill a very similar role, aside from the fact that, of course, Treant is a bit stronger in lane and insane when he hits 25, but Nyx tends to be a lot better in the mid game.
They do decide to go for the old Shakerino though. Okay, so already some decent amount of flex here from Beastcoast. Like, these two heroes can go in a myriad of different roles between them, so maybe they're just trying to keep it as flexible as possible, or maybe they already know where they actually want to play them and they're just keeping it as a guessing game for Gaiming Gladiators perhaps. But we'll see what GG themselves are actually going to pick up right now. Most likely be their support duo, I presume.
And at least we're gonna see some dunks. It could be some nice Echo Slams, or it could just be their win rate in this tournament getting dunked. But we'll see. I feel like Shaker is always fun to watch regardless.
Yeah. I feel like vast majority of the time when we see a Shaker as well, the other team normally decides to go for a Rubik, because being able to steal that Fissure is really damn strong in so many situations. Plus, you're nearly guaranteed to steal the Mortimer's Kisses from the Snapfire as well in different situations. So I'm quite liking the Rubik. I could definitely see that going into the hands of Tofu this game. There is the Triumph.
Okay.
Saw that one coming.
They do favor it over the Nyx. Like we said, they're quite similar, so I don't hate this. It's still gonna be a really strong lane.
Yeah, okay, so I'll think about it.
Guess they can pick Rubik now if they want to. It's still good, you can just play it as a 4. It's unlikely that they pick their Quinn hero right now, so maybe they can pick an ace special.
Yeah, I mean, the Brewmaster has been removed this time round, so he's not going to be able to roll with that one yet again. We'll have to play something a little bit different, but I mean, Ace can play so many different heroes that it doesn't really matter what they give this guy. He's going to have an absolutely stellar performance no matter what. And they do actually decide to go for the Skywrath, so not going to be seeing a Rubik from them this time round. Maybe they're setting up for a Legion Commander pickup right now?
Could be. I feel like Beastmaster is a lot more likely. It's another classic combination with the Skywrath. It's really strong. You have an insane lane. And just having the vision control is absolutely paramount when playing against the Shaker. Of course, this new style of Shaker, playing around the Aghanims and the big totem hits, is less reliant on getting the big blink echoes, but having good vision is still really important. I mean, it's not the same Beastmaster with the old Hulk, where you just park it somewhere and you have good vision. But just the fact that you're gonna push towers early, which gives you control of the jungle and good warding, still passively provides vision, just not like with the Hulk ward.
Yeah. You know, there were some people that just said, like, when that change was actually made, Beastmaster was a dead hero, and they predicted that it was just not going to get played anymore, but shows how wrong they were, because it is still a very contested hero. Teams still love to play it quite frequently, and it is strong. I've seen many situations where the new Hawks have actually been really clutch, but it's just a lot different style. But it is going to be Tiny, and then the Phoenix picked up here from Beastcoast, so we'll see whether this is going to be another Stinger Phoenix, or maybe they might try and swap these roles around a little bit. Obviously, between the Tiny and the Earth Shaker, which one of these do you feel is more likely to be the core? Probably the Shaker, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting because both Dark Mago and Schofield play both the Shaker and the Tiny. And if we went back a couple patches, I would be like, yeah, that's the Tiny mid for sure, right? But now just a few buffs here and there, and you're like, okay, it's probably Shaker mid and Tiny 4 or even 5. Ooh, and we see the Queen of Pain picked up for Quinn. So that's a hero that works pretty well in lane against both of these heroes, because she's quite good at punishing melee heroes. But I could see this Queen of Pain getting bursted down.
Oh yeah, there is that possibility later on. But I suppose they just want to make sure Quinn has a really great start this time round, and well, no, he had a good start last game as well, but just have a stellar performance and maybe just make space for the gyro later on. I feel like already this isn't the same play style here from Gaiming Gladiators, where they can happily have Duacho die like 6 times in a row and still feel okay about it. Like, you're gonna have to try and protect them a bit more.
Yeah, I feel like this is the kind of game where you can have Quinn dying 6 times in a row, just to secure that Duacho has a good game. Because here it is a lot more clear that Duacho is just gonna be the big one-position gyro. We see the Beast ban, no surprises there. I am quite surprised actually that they picked the Quinn hero now and that they're gonna give Ace the last pick.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. I mean, what do you feel like they're leaning towards to actually give Ace right now?
They just need something with a stun. If this Skywrath and Ace's hero can just run around the map and make space, I feel like Gaming are gonna be in a really good position. Because if you look at Beastcoast, a lot of their heroes are actually quite slow. So if you can just up the tempo as 4 heroes, make sure that you make all kinds of plays while Duacho is farming, I can see Beastcoast struggling with keeping up.
Do you feel like maybe... How do you feel about a Centaur for Gaiming Gladiators? I know that hero is just miles out of the meta right now, but it does have that stun. It has the Stampede as well to disengage from the Phoenix in many situations if it feels like you can't fight into it. It's a strong body. I think he was actually buffed ever so slightly in the C patch as well. Not a massive amount by any means, but just a little bit.
I think a Centaur-like hero could definitely work for Gaiming Gladiators. But there are like 10 heroes they could pick right now that lane well with Skywrath and are a mid-game threat. So with Ace's flexibility on the offlane position, it's really hard to predict. because this man plays everything.
Yeah, he really does. There's just too many things to try and ban out. But we will see what their pick is actually going to be. They've got 25 seconds of reserve time to work with. I still feel like the LC could just be a pretty decent pick right now. Just try and get the jewel onto the Phoenix like at the start of every fight. Just make sure there's no egg. Burst him down. Same could be said about the Snapfire potentially. And
It's gonna be the Centaur. Okay, nice call, Blue.
I see. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about, chat. You know, I'm not always wrong. Sometimes. That's probably more luck than anything else.
Yeah, it's a good call. You can take credit for this. Well done.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Centaur is quite nice against Phoenix too, because you both have a long, reliable stun to try and burst them down, as well as a tool to disengage if you ever get yourself in a situation where you don't want to deal with eggs. And Celery is vegan, so he tends to not want to deal with eggs, so they can just run away.
Yeah, just get out there as fast as possible. But yeah, the final pick for Beastcoast this time round is actually going to be the TA, which they put into the hands of Parker. So going to be rolling that as the old carry, and Dark Margot is playing the tiny mid, so it is actually a position for Earthshaker instead.
Okay, see, there we go. They both play both of the heroes, and even when we think we got it down because of the patch and Earthshaker mid being very prevalent, we still get it wrong. So that's South American Dota for you right there.
Yeah, they always love throwing curveballs in there, you know? Just keep everybody guessing. Maybe they don't even know what's going on, you know? If you don't know what's going to happen, then how the hell can your enemies know what's going to happen? The ultimate mindfuck right there. But any predictions for this game, Wingblade? Like, which draft are you actually preferring here?
I feel like it's maybe a bit closer than last game, but I still really like this GG lineup. I feel like the Gyro can do really well here, because the matchup of TA against Gyro isn't even that good. For a last pick, I was maybe expecting something more. And yes, in theory, I can see TA doing quite well against Centaur and Sky. I've also seen it go terribly wrong, because she is quite short range, she is quite squishy, so if you mess up and you get stunned and you get behind in that lane, it's actually quite rough. Because yes, you block big damage instances, but Skyrat has pretty decent attack range too. So
it's true.
I feel like if the TA gets a good start, there is definitely a good chance for Beastcoast. Like in last game, they can have a really strong timing with BKBs and some levels. But again, I feel like they have kind of a window to do it in.
Yeah, definitely. As long as we're in the lane, because I think it is going to be him laning with the Phoenix again. So if he does get gone on, there's not really many big ways for a Phoenix to help out in those situations. Like Sunray early on isn't going to do too many heals and whatnot, so could potentially see Jim Park get bullied out a little bit. Only time will tell. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with you. I think I'm going to lean towards Gaiming Gladiators as well here. Not only for the draft, but just how well they were actually able to play in game number one. Considering how far behind they were at one point, they just kept it PMA, and they managed to get the W in the end. And that's all that matters, as long as if you win.
For sure, for sure. Both teams smoked right now, looking for trouble, but also sticking on their own side of the river, so actually not really looking for that much trouble, just seeing if they can get out some vision without being scouted. Very, very important. Ooh, and this is a nice play by Jim Park, sitting there in the melt. Either you scout some kind of kill attempt going your way, or you just sit there, heal back to full mana, get your melt ready again, and start off the game by getting a double melt hit on the enemy offlaner, which is like 300 damage, which is a lot of damage at 0 minutes.
It does, yeah, like force them to burn through some of those tangos a little bit sooner on, and eventually you might win the race. People saying they're having ping problems. 70 ping, 80 ping. Man, I remember playing like every game when I had like 110 ping. Didn't see me complaining.
Yeah,
but,
I feel like Beastcoast is gonna be laughing now as well, because a lot of the Peruvian players are so used to playing with high ping.
Yeah, that's their wheelhouse, you know. If they're not lagging, then it's wrong. Seeing if the reconnect is actually working. They're saying no, still having issues. Might be looking at a lobby reset here potentially if these lag issues do carry on through, which is always sad, but hopefully it won't be too long of a delay. At least then they can all just go into all pick mode, and you ain't got to go through the whole draft again. Just pick. That's it, done, easy.
We'll see. Let's hope it solves itself.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, did you see Dark Margot's player camera? It looks like he's sat in front of the sun. It's so bright. Jesus. How could that man see anything?
Wait, he's not playing Phoenix.
Oh dear. But yeah, so we'll see how this game obviously goes out in the start. Do you feel like there's a particular lane where there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of kill possibilities?
So we're gonna have the mid lane, which is a Queen of Pain up against a Tiny. There is some potential there, but with the refreshment runes, yeah, there is little chance of a first blood there. We're gonna have a TA plus most likely a Phoenix up against a Centaur Sky. So there is definitely a bit of potential there going both ways. And then the top lane is going to be a Treant plus Gyro up against a Snapfire plus Earthshaker. And I feel like if there is any lane where we're not going to see a lot of kills, it's probably that one.
So what you're telling me is that is actually where we're going to see all the kills
then?
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah.
Keep the camera top.
Just don't move it. Don't move it at all. Well, always love to see a game with lots of kills, lots of action. Sad when you get to like 10 minutes in, there's been 2 kills. It's like, come on, start fighting people.
Feed me if you must.
I feel like it's my fault as well. Like my calm voice is putting the players to sleep as well.
You start your own like ASMR channel, Dota ASMR. Okay, they're gonna re-host the lobby on with a different server location by the looks. So we'll be probably jumping out any second now, and then we will wait. Hopefully it shouldn't take long, right? Like 5 minutes at the very maximum to make a new lobby and join it.
This is probably the last technical issue of this tournament as well. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, surely can't get any more, right? At least it's not people not being able to plug in USBs anymore. Yeah, that was a sad problem.
Yeah, it ain't so bad.
We're
here just watching some Dota on this beautiful day, reminiscing about old times when we get the chance. Life's good, you know?
Yeah. Good time to be alive. So we can't go talking about Hon anymore. We already done that segment to kill time. Need a different topic. Go on, chuck a topic at me, Wingblade.
Yeah, so at the start of this day, I spoke about the block of cheese, right? You remember?
You did. I did, yeah.
And I feel like you and maybe some people in the chat didn't quite understand what I was referencing, because you also have an item in Dota called cheese, but it is a distinct item, block of cheese. So you get this item, not a lot of people know this actually, but you get this item by having in your inventory 1 cheese from Roshan, as well as 3 greater healing lotuses, which are the items you get by combining 6 of the small lotuses, which spawn in the fountains every, or not the fountains, I'm not sure what they're called, but like in the lotus pools every 3 minutes. Yeah. So you need a grand total of 18 of these lotuses, plus a cheese, and then you get an item called Block of Cheese, which is a single-use consumable that you can use on any of your teammates, even illusions and summoned units, but then you would waste the item. And what it does is it gives a permanent shield on that hero for 500 HP, and it keeps regenerating every few seconds. So it's like you have a 7th slot, which is like the consumed Aghanims, you have an 8th slot, which is the consumed Moonshard, and then you have the 9th slot, which is Block of Cheese, which is one of the most difficult items to get in the game. Because for a lot of items, when you go later into the game, you get more gold, so it's easier to get. But for this item, you just need 18 lotuses, which just takes a lot of time, at least 27 minutes.
I honestly can't tell if you're making this up or if this is genuine. This is the first time
it's
I've
true.
ever heard of this. It's actually true.
Yeah,
What?
you can
How
Google
have
it
I
right
never
now.
heard of this before? I'm actually going to. Bear with, I'm Googling this right now. This sounds like the most made-up thing I've ever heard in my life.
No, it's
but no,
definitely true. And it's
I
so
typed
much
in Dota
effort.
block and it's there.
And it's such a small effect. Like, it's a shield for 500 at a stage of the game where everyone has like 4000 HP. It's like laughably bad for how much effort it is. But when you get it, oh, it feels so good.
Yeah, it's actually real. What the hell? Wow, you learn something new every day. That's bonkers. That is actually bonkers.
There you go. Now you can get into your pubs, hook all the lotuses, get all the cheeses, and then lose the game before completing it or after completing it, because you lost fights because you didn't eat the cheese, and then you get such a marginal benefit. So there you go. Do with this knowledge whatever you want.
Yeah, it sounds like a recipe on how to lose a game more than anything else.
Yep.
Maybe it's doable if you're like a nature's prophet and literally every single time one spawns, you grab it, teleport to the other side of the map, grab that straight away, and then maybe you can rack it up as quickly as possible. But yeah, that sounds very weird, very weird indeed.
Yeah, so I was very happy that I actually managed to use it and win the game afterwards. I feel like that's a pretty big accomplishment. I probably would have won 20 minutes earlier if I didn't delay the game to get my freaking flowers. But yeah.
It sounds like something you should do in like your standard lobby games, not ranked, right? Maybe a little bit griefy if it's ranked, but
Yep, for sure.
who knows?
But hey,
Sounds funny though.
a lot of people take Dota too seriously sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta slow down, pick some flowers, you know? It's just a game after all.
Well, there are some people that will not agree with you there, Wingblade. It is life for many people. Had too many people raging at me in my day to think that this is just a game. Way too many.
Yeah, well, that's life. A lot of people take a lot of things very seriously.
Yeah, well, if you can't have fun in a game, when can you have fun, eh? It's just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. But yeah, I'm actually I'm gonna try and see if I can make this block of cheese in one of my games now. You've probably just ruined it for whoever I lobby with. Probably gonna make them lose, but I don't care. I feel like I have to make this happen now.
Yeah, so everyone, if you complete a block of cheese, please tag me on Twitter. I want to see all of your losses.
Is there a stat which says how many times you get this item and what the win rate is with it? There must be a stat for this.
I'm not sure, because a lot of Dota items are tracked by what's in the end game, right? But I'm not sure if it actually shows in the end game. It shows up as like a buff, like dual damage, or if it's just not tracked at all because it's so niche.
I suppose it must be tracked because you need that sort of thing to see how many moon shards and stuff get picked up, surely.
I guess so. I'll check it out while we wait. There's not a whole lot to discuss right now, aside from really weird item interactions. But I do quite like those secret things in Dota that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
Because we live in a time where secrets are very hard to keep because of the internet.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel
yeah.
like this is one
You
of
learn
the
something
things
every day.
that's relatively unknown still.
I mean, yeah. I literally first. Was that something that was released like as soon as the Lotus Orb, Lotus Flower things were released? Was that like straight away, or did that come out in a B patch or something?
I think it was released immediately, but we are back into the game. I can stop hogging up time speaking about useless shit. And I can quickly tell you that it is actually not tracked, so you don't see it in the end game. And we're into
back.
the real game, so let's get going.
Thank God. Thank Christ, we can actually see some Dota 2 now. But, alright, so it looks like they were still able to get down their aggressive ward there in the mid, but I think they might have actually got spotted this time round. Like they took a couple of right clicks on the way out there, so maybe that obs is actually going to get removed pretty soon, hopefully.
Love how they placed this sentry ward just on the floor. They didn't place it, they just dropped the sentry there.
Yeah, they know, they're waiting. Might actually get a bit of a fight for this top bounty rune by the looks. There's a few members of Beastcoast hanging around. Might just be the 2 for 2 though. See, I'm quite intrigued to see how this Centaur actually performs, because I was mentioning it's something you just don't really see at all in the current meta. So I feel like all eyes are going to be on Ace. If he does an absolutely terrible time, probably not going to see Centaur again for the rest of the tournament. But if he does well, you could start to see the resurgence of him.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's one of Ace's old school signature heroes, but I feel like that's just the case for a lot of heroes.
Yeah.
But I believe he was one of the players who played Centaur carry back in the day, where his passive was really broken and you would just build like a heart really early and just push towers by putting a Centaur in front of it. But that was obviously quite a different style of Centaur.
It was. It'd be great if there was like a game mode where every single hero was the strongest patch they ever received in the game. And that was the whole game. We see Sacred actually taking quite a lot of damage right now, pushing him all the way back to the tier 1. Verify will keep him nice and safe, but even still, a huge amount of pressure applied to the offlane of Beastcoast. Even Tofu now at the bot, getting real damn low, but he is going to be able to survive just barely. Alright, already tons of action happening.
Yeah, Tofu not wasting his Fairy Fire there in complete control. Of course, it was just a Phoenix level 1. It's kind of hard to die to a Phoenix level 1.
It is. If you do die to that, then a bit of a whoops. But these things do happen. Gym Park already quite low as well by the looks. Just the presence of Ace has already been a bit of a problem. Obviously the spam from Tofu isn't helping at all either. But is there like a level power spike in this lane where one side is just going to get the clear advantage, or is it just going to be trading all the time?
I think the first few levels are gonna favor Gaiming a little bit, but eventually, once the TA gets a few levels, it's gonna be it's not so much a power spike, but it's just a gradual increase in power. When she gets a few more points in the refraction and the side blades, it's gonna be a lot easier for her to stay at a healthy amount of HP.
You can see in the mid there as well. It is a slight CS lead for the Tiny as of yet, but obviously as the levels start piling up onto this Queen of Pain, the harassment is going to keep on stacking up right there, and they will probably start to see Quinn coming out ahead ever so slightly. Depends if maybe they might get some early support rotations to that mid, maybe try and find an earlier kill, who knows?
Of course, it is quite difficult to play against a tiny mid because of the tree. It's so